Get Into Geek, episode 25. We're talking season 2, episode 3, Prisoners. We are Get Into Geek. We love Stargate. And, hey, just come on this bloody big journey with us, eh? My name is Mitch. The full Get Into Geek team is here. To my right, Matty Gibson. Hello.
You're not going to do directions again, are you? It's an audio
Theatre of the
medium.
mind, mate. I'm just trying to paint the room.
Just paint a picture with your imagination brush, eh?
Yep.
Yeah. And if you have headphones, it's not
Yeah.
directional, so who cares?
It's a great start. Welcome.
That was a very long hello, Matty. And then Brendan on the other side of me.
Hi.
And Rhys.
Hello.
That's how it's done.
That's how it's done.
We're here to talk Stargate. Matty, Brendan, and myself. Long-term fans of the show. Seen it a bunch of times the last 20 years. Rhys, Brendan's brother.
Not so much.
Lived his whole life with Brendan. Never seen an episode. Finally, he's done it, so he's experiencing it for the first
What
time.
were you doing?
We're reliving it with him, and we're just here to
Surprised your
talk about
parents
it.
didn't adopt him out or something like that.
Well,
Just be like,
Well, that's what I've been telling him for years.
So we're here to talk Prisoners, episode 3 of season 2. Now, we started off well, boys. Unlike last year, as far as you guys were concerned, we're 2 for 2 for season 2. We're going into episode
Say
3.
that again.
Now, it was a dark day of season 1 when we hit episode 3. It was Emancipation.
Yeah.
Maddie loves it. I get it. It was in
almost the death of the series.
my anger
Like,
is
we
a
were signed
balloon
for
and I
80.
let it go.
No, we won't.
I nearly stalled by this point.
Yeah, you nearly tapped out. Like,
Yeah.
the whole podcast relies on you, and you're like, episode 3.
Not worth it, guys.
Ooh, yeah, I don't know.
That was a pretty
What?
shitty knife fight.
What are they
You
going
can
on
all
about?
go get in the by an
Oh, shit.
Is it reached midnight or something? Don't feed the gremlins. Jesus.
All right, let's talk Prisoners. Let's go to the DVD. Let's see what this is all about. After the SG-1 team inadvertently helps a desperate criminal, they are charged as accessories to murder and banished to a desolate penal colony. Only one woman there has the power to help them escape, but freedom might not be worth the price she's asking. Now, for any long-term listeners of Get Into Geek, we try and insert our favourite side character, Walter, into the synopses. Now, it's a little bit hard there, and because he doesn't feature in this episode, and I think I might even want to talk about this next week, depending on how this pans out. I haven't watched next week's episode yet, but I'm noticing at least Walter hasn't been in this episut. He wasn't in last episode.
Yeah, it was
So
that
he's not-
chick.
Yeah, there was a chick in this episode.
Do you reckon after that, you know, the shot of him that you guys love in There Before the Grace of God, where he's got his combat cardigan and he's just fine.
Yeah.
Maybe
Combat
he's off.
cardigan.
Maybe he's off just like getting some training. He's just off, you know, getting some
Yeah.
training.
Bit
Maybe
more basic.
he's gonna.
He's getting a new
Advanced.
cardigan knitted.
So he's off like, you know, I
Captain
want to see a
training.
montage of him just like training for like one of those army fields where he's got to climb over the fence and scurry under the wire fencing and all that sort of stuff.
Today was the first day of basic again.
Again.
So with this episode, look, I appreciate, I guess, the idea that we're presented in the pre-credits scenes. It honestly, it didn't grip me. Like, they go to a planet, they come across a stranger, they help him out because he's in need of help.
And
All of a sudden,
all he kept saying was Taldor, Taldor, and I'm like, Hodor?
hold the door. Honestly, I was worried. It felt like the third episode Blues to me because Emancipation from that. No, honestly, it really did because last season, that first 5 minutes, I'm like, oh, this is different from the first 2 episodes.
Oh, and then they were in the light, like
Yeah.
Jarrell. or
Yeah,
something.
like Superman the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. And then all of a sudden they're in this prison. I'm like, okay, it's a good idea, but I just the execution of it just didn't grip me from the start. And it wasn't really until probably the final act, or at least partway through the second act, when I remembered how this episode was going to end, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's going to save itself, unlike Emancipation did, because I felt like that whole episode was.
Oh
look,
God!
Look, it was in my bottom 7 of last season. Okay? I'm
Twisting
not
the
just
knife.
saying this to upset you, but we've
I like it,
compared
though.
episodes 1 and 2 of the respective seasons. I'm trying to do that with episode 3 as well. Again, I feel like we're repeating from the last 2 weeks. This is a better episode 3 than what it was last season, but I just felt like the start
Gut
didn't.
you like a pig.
Hey, mate, now you're the one that's dragging us back, okay? I'm trying to move on.
All right, I guess we're looking out for Taldor.
It's
I
just,
guess.
it was just a slow start for me, I thought. I don't know, I was a bit worried. Rhys,
Yeah.
what about you watching it for the first time and knowing that we were going to compare it to Emancipation? Because that's what we said last weekend. Matty, you
Hey, you
leave.
started this.
I'm not
I
doing...
just want to go home. You know what? I just.
Wouldn't have thought so, mate.
The start of it for me was a little bit confusing. I guess. They just rock up out of nowhere. They see this guy, and then they're like, obviously you're going to help him if he's saying, help me.
But listening to the dialogue, he actually says, we've been here for 24 hours. So they were in that forest for 24 hours.
Yeah, and didn't see anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then all of a sudden...
Yeah.
Oh,
and then
comes.
SG9 go, and they found them immediately.
What I presume from that is that they got sent to that dark room with the spotlight, and then, just all the shit was on the ground or whatever. But then SG9 obviously talked to them and said, no, we're diplomatic. They obviously didn't take weapons with them, otherwise...
They would have.
Well, wasn't that the original...
No, yeah,
They had weapons on sacred land?
Yeah, they were trespassing.
Yeah, that was their original...
Helping
help an old mate.
It was unclear. Who wrote this episode?
This was
Terry Curtis Fox, who actually only wrote 2 other episodes for the series, which was Secrets, in a couple of seasons' time. That's I'm not going to say for Rhys's benefit.
It's a secret.
And then Rules of Engagement. He wrote those 2 episodes as well. So 3 very different episodes.
And directed by David Warry Smith. I know who had a bit to say in the last couple of episodes of last season. I want to, without knowing specific episodes, I think he had he had a good track record.
We can't blame Cooper for this.
He did them for the grace of God.
I like this episode. I've always liked this. Has been one of a good favourites. Obviously, they mentioned Botany Bay, mate. The original name for Sydney Harbour, which it's totally not. But that's fine. But when they go into the prison, Mitch, I know you would have noticed this, the whistling.
Yeah.
It reminded me of The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I just wanted someone to walk out with a baseball bat, just go, oh, SG1. And then they all have to line up.
Little Teal'c, little Teal'c. Oh, indeed. Speaking of Teal'c, I think he had one of the best moments very early on in this episode.
Teal'c looks scary and take point.
And then Teal'c's like, and turns around like a robot.
Like, good call. That's why he's the leader.
Yeah.
Just clenches his jaw, raises an eyebrow, and starts walking.
And there were so many moments like that in this episode. They're in prison.
That was good.
Yeah. And they're walking through, or he's just around a corner, and he's there as point guard. He's there looking out for them the whole time, except for when they were really under attack, and he was in another hallway somewhere.
Why was he there?
I don't know. And clearly wasn't listening to everyone screaming and yelling. He's like, it's nothing I need to be concerned with.
Obviously, we're kind of jumping forward a bit, but Linnea tells Carter specifically that her friends will be attacked, and she totally didn't.
She specifically told them, go warn them.
Yeah, and she goes and goes, she's going to come with us.
All right, see you guys.
Yeah, and Daniel's getting...
I knew you. I was waiting for it.
I only want to say it because otherwise I probably wouldn't have brought it up on the podcast, but I want to see whether you did feel the same. It was a very weird feeling, considering this is essentially a prison episode. It's called Prisoners. They get there, Carter gets attacked by the big fella, and then Linnea comes out and goes, no, stop. She's under my protection. No one is to touch her. And all the Neanderthal men just sort of slumped like, we don't get to sexually abuse anyone now. I'm like, it was just such a weird, awkward sort of reaction. Like, she's like, don't hurt her. Oh, damn it. Yeah. Like, what else are we supposed to do for fun around here?
And she does say, she says to Carter, they kind of bond and go,
it's a hard place.
It's a hard place for a woman to be. So clearly there's other women who've been sent to this planet. We don't see any of them.
Because I
feel like as a harder time as all the prisoners are having, I feel like the female prisoners are probably had a worse time, and
absolutely,
especially before Linnea
probably aren't there anymore.
And if you've ever
in the future,
if you've ever seen the movie Bone Tomahawk,
do yourself a favour.
Because I didn't actually realise that when she went up and said that to old mate, the big ugly guy, Vishnu. I didn't actually realise that was supposed to label him as the leader, or like the boss
alpha.
Of the alpha of the prison, and until later on, I mean, it was pretty. I mean, the storyline was pretty basic. I mean, they had a lot of filler, obviously, for the episode.
Yeah,
but it was good filler.
It was.
You cut to the shot of Teal'c holding that dude up.
Teal'c, I think he's had enough.
If you once again try to physically harm myself or any of my companions, my patience with you will expire.
He's choking the guy
as will
to
you
death.
expire.
Teal'c, making friends, are you?
Like, just the word expire is so much more threatening than anything else he could have said. Like, we'll come to an
end. In all those
or...
movies, the more threatening villain is not the one who's like really loud and yelling and stuff. It's the one who gets really quiet.
Yeah, Vader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So calm.
We found out that O'Neill might have been in prison previously.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe military prison.
How?
Yeah, because he's given tips to Jackson, or you take your glasses off, mate.
Yeah.
You're a weakling.
These guys don't know what
feel like-
glasses are, but
Yeah.
It's apparently a sign of weakness. That
it's universal.
very, very clean and straight shoulder-length hair of yours, though, you can keep that.
It is a classic sci-fi trope, though, having that sort of prison planet. There's actually a really great
It's
episode
Of what?
Of what?
Farscape. Hey! Got that, suckers!
Just you alluded to it, so that's one.
But no, Brendan, you watch Farscape a lot. You
Sure
know
do.
That's the kind of vibe I got in this episode. Just when they were taken to the Taldor and they're in the dark. And,
Oh, yeah.
And Hammond is talking to them with the SG9 leader and stuff like that. I kind of got that same vibe from the episode of
Oh, wasn't he
Farscape.
badass Hammond when he was talking to him?
Oh,
You
God.
release them, or I'll come and nuke you.
Step up to the plate. Make it
fully.
Big dogs going
cometh
through
the
the
hour,
gate.
cometh the man. Like,
Yeah.
and then especially when you put him against, all I've got written down was who was this rule-following dick?
Yeah.
Because you had the black guy. Was he
He's
the leader of
clearly
SG9, the black fella?
No, he was SG3.
He was SG3. The
Who
other guy was
are-
SG9.
Who Marines or whatever. SG9 is the diplomatic
Diplomatic.
unit.
Right,
So that's
okay,
the
well
one
that makes
Daniel
sense.
Should have been leading.
Yeah.
Well, I would say if I couldn't get on SG1, I'd want to be on SG9.
Oh, not after seeing that
Oh,
bloke.
Mr. Politics.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I think because he goes, he's like, Hammond, look, I wouldn't be going back there, sir. With all due respect of what you think, I would disagree with everything you're saying. And then SG3 bloke's like, let's just go back there and tell him we mean business.
Yeah.
And Hammond did what he's been doing, what we've sort of criticised him for doing, but also commended him for doing along the way, is that he lets the argument play out in front of him.
He catfishes
even though he knows he's already made us his decision.
Yeah.
And so he sort of sent
I don't
away
think he
SG3
does,
guy.
Guys.
Well,
I think he listens to everyone and then makes up his decision. That's a leader.
Come on, man. No.
That's a leader.
Oh,
He'll say something, and then he'll go to say something, and then Daniel cuts him off and gives him another big explanation, and then Hammond literally goes,
Don't
I
interrupt.
already made my decision.
or in this one, he sent
president
away
made my decision.
SG3's leader, who he ended up agreeing with, only to listen to SG9's guy for so much longer, and then to go, no, you back off. I'm going to go. And I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to go myself because I can't be trusted.
Yeah. But if I
Trusting
had
you
to
to
choose
do it.
between being on SG3 and SG9, I'd take SG9.
SG3 die every year.
Yeah, I love the way that SG9 guy, who is a diplomat, stands up to this Marine, and basically he owns that SG3 leader in that meeting.
It's because the SG3 goes there, I want to shoot a gun.
Well, no, see, that's what I felt about SG9 guy. I felt SG9 guy's like, sir, they've been arrested for something, and look, it's their law. We should respect their law. So if there's an opening for SG1, I'm gonna put my hand up.
I got the vibe he was saying SG1 were taken within their law, so we didn't have any right to run in guns blazing like SG3 wanted. I feel like SG9 was willing to go and negotiate with them, but he was just saying, the Taldor are
Do
just
it their
following their
way.
own laws.
Yeah.
We need to be submissive in this case.
We need to have
and
another
respect
eye.
this-
Yeah, no, yeah. But I also felt like he was kind of advising Hammond that arguing with them or trying to come to a mutual decision with them is kind of fruitless because they're not going to go against their own ruling.
We don't understand exactly who they are and what they've got.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
they can kill
And
us
they'll
right
just
here, right
banish
now.
you for no
I
reason.
thought there was that good scene just before Hammond is about to go through the Stargate for the first time
That was
in
cool.
a year.
Oh, that was the worst advice he gave him.
No, but that's the thing is that was good advice because as they're walking along, he gives him an on the record briefing, and then he says, "But off the record, they're dicks." Is basically what he says.
Yeah,
to
that
them.
was-
no,
So
I was more thinking about when he goes, you gotta exhale before you go through.
Oh yeah, the gate travel
It's
stuff.
like, f off, mate.
Yeah, well, he's a diplomat.
What if you go through a vacuum?
Yeah.
You need some oxygen in your lungs, or if you're in
Who's
water.
gonna Stargate through to a
Okay,
vacuum?
if you're in water, you want to lung full so you can swim to the DHD
But they're
and
going to
dial
a
back.
planet they know.
Boom.
Too, mate. You'd swear this episode was written by Robert Cooper the way you're picking it apart like that. No, but yeah, obviously he's a diplomat.
SG9 guys are dick.
So he's got
Don't tell another man how to breathe.
Yeah, he's got.
He's older than you.
Hammond goes, I'll figure it out. Thanks, you piece of shit.
He's got no business telling Hammond how to travel through the gate. But I think all the advice he gave him about the Taldor was good.
No, yeah, that.
But then there is also obviously that moment at the end where, as much as you want Hammond to tell that guy to get about breathing as he goes through the gate and stuff, then Hammond turns around and goes, "They did dial the right address, right?"
Yeah,
that was lame.
I know you're going for the joke, mate, but come on now.
Yeah.
Getting back to the actual prison, Rhys, I think around the time that Linnea is being asked for a power source by Carter, I started to remember where this was going and who Linnea is. Did you pick up any earlier, or was it literally when that bloke busts through to the SGC at the end of the episode and you're learning it as essentially the writers are telling you?
Well, what did you think about when she healed his vision and he kind of freaked out?
Oh, of course, yeah.
I mean, they obviously had the backstory about, it went wrong, presume it was an accident and blah, blah, blah. So you're just like, oh, yeah, this friendly old woman's just trying to help and it just got worse. Like, the poor old love, now she's in jail. But
no, she didn't necessarily lie either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do they say? A lie is most convincingly hidden within the truth.
Yeah.
Just don't think I'm innocent. You mean you take responsibility? Yeah.
Well, it's that fine line. It's like, well, for us to get vaccinated for diseases, we actually get injected with tiny portions of the disease so our bodies can form antibodies for it. So it's like, in a way, she was totally telling the truth. It was just like, she was just a little bit too aggressive.
And you know what? Sort of like we mentioned last week with Cassandra identifying Carter as actually having a Gould symbiote within her. And we were like, how did they just believe her straight away? Like, Brennan, you went on a rant about it. Like, she's got PTSD. She's a crazy little girl for all we know.
Cassandra.
But this girl potentially hates Carter because she hasn't seen Carter for so long. In this, it's a guy from, I guess, the planet that Linnea, as far as he was concerned, brought disease to. Now, she has told us partly the truth, like you said, Brennan. She said, there was a disease, I tried to cure it, and it made things worse. It was an accident, but I take responsibility for it. This guy comes through and says, no, she destroyed it. She made it. Now, as far as we know, he's just a guy who found out about the disease only when she was already trying to cure it, but they immediately believed him. Because it was 6 minutes until the end of the episode, and they start, they start doing that. But then again, they start doing that hallway walk because she is with two of the, leading people of the SGC. She's with Carter. She's with Doc Fraser. She automatically knows how to use a friggin' MacBook. But
actually, it wasn't Doc Fraser. It was some random fill-in.
Yeah. It was,
Fraser was at the Academy Hospital.
Of course it was.
In her office.
That's what else.
Maybe her and Walter on their honeymoon.
So I'll just go to one of my last notes. Was Fraser sick? Who the f*** was this new female doctor? Like, they even gave her a short haircut as well.
She had the perm, the weird,
It's like they were trying to make her. They were trying to make her Fraser. It's like if you don't, like I just did, if you didn't remember Fraser wasn't in it, Fraser was in it.
Well, she didn't really have any lines, so what if it was just Janet Fraser's body double?
Yeah.
Just dressed up and gone, Janet's bitch, she's got another acting gig somewhere. She couldn't make it this week. We'll just put you in there.
Yeah.
But the blind guy, am I the one that thought he looks a lot like Carmen Argenziano?
Oh, yeah. Who's that?
He was so excited when you said, "Oh yeah."
I thought you were a fan of Stargate. You don't even know the actor's name. Selmac.
Yeah,
Selmac.
I noticed he looked familiar.
I was the same, and every time I watch this episode, I go, "Man, that guy looks familiar." And I IMDb him, and I've seen nothing that he's been in, and I go, "It must just be because he looks like Carmen."
It's an ongoing thing though with this show. I think they need to fix up quick because it should be, if you haven't already caught on that Linnea was going to be bad, going to turn out to be this villain, it should be obvious to us now when they immediately trust them with everything they've got.
Yeah.
Oh, we got that all in the computer.
Yeah.
Really?
I guess, against my own argument, the only exception from that rule has been the Tolan so far, because they gave them free rein for everything. They let them up onto the surface, within minutes of them getting there. Said, hey, if you want to take Carter over onto a date, out on a date, you can go do that.
Go for it.
But everyone else that went, hey, do you want to come see our secrets? Do you want the nuclear codes just to play around with and stuff? Yeah, sure. Holy shit, they've actually turned against you. As soon as she did that, I'm like, okay, well, if it wasn't already obvious now, why are you saving the reveal when you're making it so obvious with dumb decisions made by really intelligent characters?
Yeah.
Mitchell,
Who should know better?
this is an episode where the MacGuffin for the episode is magic vines.
Yeah.
So
I thought I
Mate,
missed...
it's not magic. It's cold fusion, okay? Technology, we've said this before, technology that we are
In a
not aware
plant?
of looks like magic.
Mhm.
Okay? Continue.
In a plant,
but it's like
you can grow.
they don't take any of the plant back with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like Linnea's going to teach them how to make cold fusion with a few drops of liquid and a plant that they
Yeah.
don't take back with them.
Like this is
Yeah,
just
they
this
do
Chuck
have
one in a
cold fusion
backpack
ever again.
or... Yeah.
It's just this reoccurring thing of we go out to find all this new technology. We find it, but that's it. We just
And
leave
get
it there.
bitch slapped.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
look, there it is. Let's go home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least, though, they're making baby steps where they didn't bring the technology home, but they brought the source of the technology with them. Like,
Yeah.
usually it's just in the
Yeah,
past,
that's
it's
true.
been like,
Yeah.
cure for the disease. Oh, I'm already carrying stuff
then-
with both
Yeah,
my
like,
hands.
she had SGC gear on. They're like, can she have a room here?
yeah, what
She's
the
gonna
hell?
teach
Like,
us
how long is
shit.
she staying?
Yeah.
Get
So
her to
that-
clearance. She's meeting the president. But they'd wrap the tendrils around the Stargate.
I know, so lame.
But then when the Stargate opened, the Stargate should have destroyed those tendrils.
Yeah.
But when the Stargate closes, when they escape, the tendrils are still wrapped
well,
around.
that's what I always
around the
wonder,
gate.
if it's only the single vortex in the middle that destroys things, or if the rest is just like the event horizon.
Yeah, like
In the formation.
like those poor guys standing in front of the
Yeah.
swoosh, waiting to get
Stupid
out.
Yeah.
fucks.
This is our escape. Nope, there's
No,
your
there's
feet.
your smoking shoes. I don't
Yeah.
know why you're
Now-
doing it.
And there'd still be feet inside those shoes. So
Yeah.
that's what I don't understand about. So they talk about the hope aspect of it, but it's like
Yeah.
there would have been feet left in those shoes. It's like you
Yeah.
know that person didn't go home.
Yeah, even if they did, they don't have feet anymore.
Yeah.
Now,
Why didn't he jump completely into it?
Well, and
The guy gets new shoes, though.
And someone who's a little bit shorter or something like that is in the kawoosh. Sometimes there's probably a bit of shin left in there as
Yeah.
well. Or maybe from the knee down. It's like, come on, guys.
now we have seen before as an audience that they can't stand in front of that. The vortex,
unswoosh.
right? The whoosh.
Yeah.
We know that they can't stand in front. So when we see that at the start of the episode, there's burning feet, we're like, well, we know what happened to them.
shit.
What do we know? It's probably more a question for you, Rhys, because you have only seen up until this episode. What do we know so far about traveling through a wormhole? As in, is it one way, two way?
As in,
You know,
through the
if someone
Stargate.
if someone dials into you, someone dials into the SGC, can SG1 walk through that same wormhole?
Yeah, well.
I honestly, it
Turns
That's-
out Rhys has been paying attention.
I only
No,
asked
because I remember the one I'm thinking back to is when the guy were dialing Earth and they could keep the connection open, but Earth couldn't close it. They had to have the iris closed.
Yeah. So the connection's sort of dependent, as long as you both got a power source, I guess. It's for all intents and purposes, it's dependent on the dialer.
Yeah.
But I know what I know, having seen all 10 seasons of Stargate SG1, or maybe even 4 episodes ahead of this where they
Yeah.
actually answer this question. But what do you know?
Like, I would
Can you
presume-
go two ways, or is it only a
I would
one way?
presume 2 ways.
Yeah. That's the only reason I ask, is we know what we know as audience members
Yeah.
up until now. What do the prisoners know? Because
Yeah.
they think
Yeah.
standing in front of that vortex is going to take it with them. Now,
Why not wait until the vortex goes and
Yeah.
then
That's
just
what I'm
step
talking
through
about.
the puddle?
When the food's coming out, just jump in there.
Now, when I asked myself that question watching this show, watching this episode, the first answer I thought of was, well, they're going to know that someone's standing on the other side. That's why there's prisoners being thrown through. That's why there's food being fed through the wormhole. But I'm like, well, hang on. What else are you expecting when that wormhole opens and you're standing in the vortex? You're still going to presumably end back up at the other side,
Yeah.
and there's going to be your executioners, the warden.
Such a shame Robert Seagiver didn't write that.
Because
Yeah, I just found it strange. Like, it's all there for the effect to go, shit, they're losing hope. They're standing
Yeah.
in front of something that's certain death.
I've never thought about that
Yeah,
going
me
back
neither.
because you just always
because when it opened, because obviously they're not fearful of the gate. Yeah, and then they open the wormhole again to get out, and then that's when they chase after it. So, yeah, I guess they would have
they-
known that it's one way.
they could be just fearful of the Taldor.
Yeah, that's
That
what
if they
Mitch was
go
saying.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
through,
why
Yeah.
would they not think the Taldor would be there if
In
they
the-
go
in the
through the
vortex.
vortex
Yeah.
instead of just the open wormhole
Oh,
event
yeah, that's what
horizon
you
thing?
mean, yeah.
But how would they know so much about the Stargate? You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. They
Yeah.
don't know. So they
Yeah.
as far as they're concerned, the vortex is the way home. Why though? Why is
Yeah,
that split second the
yeah,
way
why does
home
the
when
vortex
the open wormhole event
bypass the
horizon?
Yeah.
Taldor, whereas the normal
Yeah.
wormhole... Yeah.
Just seemed like such a weird thing that
Yeah, you think they'd all be going
yeah,
through.
as far as we're led
Oh,
to
shit,
believe,
it's open,
no
yeah.
one has ever tried to get through the
Yeah.
event horizon because they're all trying to get through that. They think that's the way home. Like when it's that part of the phenomenon is 0.5% of its time that it's open, exposed to the prisoners. But anyway,
Well, here's a question. If you... Like, when the food comes in, right, if they wait for the kawoosh and there's just the stable event horizon of an incoming wormhole, if you step into that,
yeah.
do you die as well?
Yep.
Or do you get pushed back like Homer coming through the hedge? Do you get pushed back into the into the room you just stepped into?
Oh, well,
Are you talking about the information that we have now? Or
Yeah,
forever?
yeah. I've
Yeah,
just never
like,
really thought about it.
pretend you have
Is
it.
what happens if you step through a wormhole going the wrong way? Do you just come back in, or are you disintegrated?
But
and
yeah,
that's
that
it?
was my question. I think from what we know now,
The way
I
I
want to say we just don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Because the kawoosh is obviously dangerous because it's coming at you. Whereas once the event horizon is stable,
Yeah.
it's only your idiocy if you get to walk through one that's going the wrong way. Whether it'll kill you or not, I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I always wondered. Because
they say the kawoosh is the unstable vortex created with the wormhole, but once that's gone, the wormhole is stable. So if you step through, we obviously find out it's one way travel, so you can't travel to the other planet from an incoming wormhole. But what happens if you step through? Do you get disintegrated and not reintegrated, or do you just get, like I said, Homer Simpson hedged back out?
Yeah. The reason I
interesting.
presumed that it was two ways is because I just liken the Stargate to a telephone. Like if someone calls you, your phone rings, you pick it up, you can talk back to them.
Yeah, it's interesting because they do use that metaphor a lot in the dial home device and dialing in. But can you imagine if
radio waves can go back and forth, but
through the Stargate,
Well,
sound
yeah.
waves can or whatever.
AC.
But,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's the equivalent of the Stargate is the equivalent of this, like with the mobile phone analogy, is I can dial you and talk to you. You can hear me but can't talk back to me. So to respond to
Yeah,
what I'm
okay.
saying, we've got to hang up and then you've got to call me.
Yeah.
And so it's a weird prospect. I wonder. So yeah, I wonder. Maybe it's in the film that whether they stayed in the film. It's one directional. Like the wormholes can only travel in one direction. I know Carter does say in further episodes, Matter can only travel one way through the Stargate.
Are you,
blah, blah, blah.
no, you can't. If you go back through, you're dead. It's in it happened to a Malp in an episode called 100 Days,
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
and the gate was on its.
Yeah,
side.
it travelled through and then fell back.
Yeah.
And
Well, why didn't you just say that at the start of the
Because
conversation?
that's why I
We wouldn't
said,
have to
are we
waste
just
10 minutes.
talking about what we know at this point, or
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify the
Yeah.
spoilers.
Yeah.
It would make
Just for
it would make
future
more
reference.
sense if you went through it. You stayed on Earth, because imagine if you came up to a wormhole and go,
Yeah, who did
"Oh,
this?
shit, who dialed in or out?"
yeah,
From what
if
we
you-
know,
Well, it's a
there's
life
no,
or death question.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's no
Would-
indicator.
Would you risk it?
There's no unless there is some light sequence, but from what we know, there's no indicator to say that it's incoming or
No.
outgoing.
No, not at all.
So
There
that's
was-
the question.
There was an interesting thing I noticed too, and it might even tie back to, and I know this was a heavy conversation from one of our last episodes, but the hypotheses that Brendan and I had about solitudes and gate travel and all that sort of stuff. There was that moment where Daniel's scrawling on the ground, and he's like, "Oh no, Samaria's out and Chulak's out in terms of places they can travel." So I'm wondering if that means what did you
Safety-wise.
guys take to that? They can't travel to that because they're just stuck there then, and there's still no one's going to those planets from SG1 because they don't have any GDO, so they can't
Yeah.
dial directly back to Earth. So they can only go somewhere where there's no iris.
Well, Samaria is out because that's where Thor's hammer is, and Till could get. taken
No,
back
that
to
was
the
they
mountain.
destroyed it. Remember,
No, they destroyed the hammer, but not the transport device.
but they know their way out.
But they sealed it with the rocks,
Oh yeah.
and
But
and
then why would
and Chulak, well, that's kind of behind enemy lines.
why would they bother saying it then? Of course it's out. So
Oh, yeah.
my
I guess
thought
he's.
is
I assume he's just kind of brainstorming and going, "What addresses do we know off by heart?"
well, my thought is like what we were talking about in the other week was it potentially the symbols that they need to get to those planets aren't on this gate?
That's what I took from it was that
That's
they were
what I'm
thinking
getting.
the most obvious planets that they knew.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, we can't go to those ones. So
That's interesting. Yeah.
work their way through.
No, you're probably right.
Yeah. Again, so it's another one of those things like the point of origin from Solitudes that we're talking about. It's one of those things that we never really get
I think
the
they're
answer
probably
to
just saying that for more world building is for fans to go, oh yeah, I remember that world. I don't think it was deeper than that.
I just wonder why they wouldn't go think like we were saying the other day, think about their allies and go, well, when they say, oh, Argos is out, and and then obviously there was the great powerful where Daniel's like getting choked out and then discovers where he can go to meet up with another team.
Yeah.
But when
It came to
Vishnu
me just before I died.
grabs him, like that is one of the most just over the top acting moments I've ever seen when he's like
Yeah.
and does the bear hug. I'm
yes.
just like, oh mate, you're at an 8. I need you at like a 3.
Now with that ending, Rhys, I mean, in a rarity, such a key villain, she guts away.
Well, I like the wording that they call a destroyer of worlds. Like that,
Yeah.
it's not going to come back to bite him.
Yeah, that's from
Yeah.
it's the Bhagavad Gita. That's from
What's that?
one of the Hindu gods is the destroyer. He's the destroyer of worlds, and then also there's the
I knew I'd heard it before.
well, there's a beautiful line from. It's one of those really tragically beautiful signs. What's the name of the team that is the Manhattan Project that discovered how to split the atom and the A bombs and all that sort of stuff. And one of the guys, I can't remember which guy it was. Oh, I'm so annoyed. But he basically says, "Oh, here we are."
Einstein.
No. Einstein was on the
Thomas
Manhattan
Jefferson.
Project. Jesus Christ. You uneducated swine.
Telstra.
But one of his quotes
Tesla.
was basically when they realised.
I like
Telstra.
Telstra said it.
Yes. Yeah, Tesla was there in World War II, splitting the atom. No, he says, basically he quoted the Bhagavad Gita and he's like, here we are, these foul sons of bitches. We are the destroyer of worlds. And it's a really, to me, it's a really powerful, I think there's even, as random as this is, even a Linkin Park song where they actually take quotes from that speech of, some people laughed, some people cried, here we are, the destroyer of worlds, It's a really powerful sort of phrasing and imaging, destroyer of worlds.
It's huge. I remember, I think I came up with a short story based on that phrase once.
I remember
Don't know what it was, but
the first time I watched
rubbish.
through these, I remember getting really confused because obviously in There But For the Grace of God,
you keep referencing
the
it.
address.
So,
well, I just like poking more holes in it whenever I can.
Yeah, I reckon it's obviously a key episode.
The magical episode that Daniel decrypts is the destroyers come from. So the first time I watched this episode, I thought it was reference to that because the first time I watched the end of the series, I didn't realise that the destroyers was Apophis and Chlorel.
Yeah.
So I had this misguided thing
Unless
in my head of going,
they stole her gate. Boom.
who knows?
No, really reading into it.
Five-finger discount.
Maybe that was Linnea's home planet.
The only
is where
thing I
Apophis
wanted
left
to end
from.
on was those poor bastards who missed out on the escape. Oh my!
hey.
That stupid prick going, escape! It's like, mate, don't yell, run.
Like, why do you care about the people that have just been shitting on you
Like
for 4
that.
years?
Literally.
that bowl of gruel would have been the best gruel of your life. To miss out on
And you know what I was
escaping.
devastated at? The little wooden bloody sled that they had to get their gruel into the little bathtub.
Yeah.
It burnt when they went out and the swoosh come through. It was burnt to a crisp. I'm like, now it's just going to
Really?
be poured on the floor.
There's one
Those
guy
poor
just standing there.
bastards.
And he's
They
like,
just put the bathtub there instead.
No.
I don't know why they needed the slide.
If anything, it's just wasting because half it's getting stuck on the slide. But what got me at the end was, the Destroyer of Worlds. She has, as far as we're led to believe now, killed a lot of people with that disease in that world. She's come here. She's learnt to build something. She sets off the self-destruct, which is usually Hammond's job.
She's seen all of.
Hammond was in that scene. I don't know if you noticed, but Hammond was off in the corner just jacking off.
I love it when this happens.
I did notice. Yeah. No, but Carter.
Where's Walter? He'd love it.
He's on stress leave, sir. Fucking pussy.
Oh, it's actually going to happen this time. We're down to 1.
What?
Blackout. This is shit.
But they were so goddamn calm. Like that's
I know.
what should have been the first indication to us as a viewer. That was never going to blow up because it got to like 3 seconds and Carter's like, I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're about to die. Who cares about the computer?
Did
Jackson
you turn it
just
off and
closed
back
his
on
eyes.
again?
Yeah.
But yeah, Carter fully showed her all her research about science and all, like everything.
This is how you use a QWERTY keyboard. Fuck. Speed typing.
Of this language that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
And even with tech, I didn't know they had in 1997. She's like, oh, if I give you all this like bio information, can you fabricate it? And they're just like, her and the strange new doctor look at each other like, shit, yeah, we can. We can do anything you want down here. Whatever you want to create from your foreign world. What is your last name, by the way? We really don't know each other. You know?
Just need to put in the database. Destroyer of what?
We just need you to sign the visitor's book.
So yeah, I thought the ending though, the build up and it made better. I think too the fact that Linnea gets away because then it's like that's a pretty
open,
not so much key villain, but she's pretty powerful. And just the name, Destroyer of Worlds, said by one guy who saw something bad happen that she did. It puts this just great sort of aura around her for any future episodes that she might pop up in.
Have we seen any villains other than the Goa'uld? Or like major villains?
Really? I mean, Fire and
Carrie
Water, you
Everyone's
had
no.
Nem, but I feel like he was kind of neutral by the end of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
he
there's a
was
lot
just-
of like week to week scene, but yeah, like a carryover one's not
The
really.
people from the Karai planet, we kind of made up with them
in
by
Atlantis,
the end.
they had the Jedi. They were shit.
Oh, they were good at the start, and then they got
No,
really
they
bad.
weren't.
Once they got rid of Colmini, then it got
No,
bad.
guys, you lose.
Yeah, you lose.
I guess you better watch Atlantis.
Just trying to
Maddie,
think.
last week you said that you were looking forward to hoping that next week has a strong female presence.
Oh, that was with a firm tongue in cheek.
So you didn't like Linnea?
No, she was fine. She was great. It was just kind of, I think, if we do a season review for this series when we get to the end of season 2, this might be kind of in my middle. I don't know if it's not one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's definitely not horrible.
But
if it was in last season, I reckon it'd be in the top.
Yeah, probably middle to top.
Yeah.
Okay.
I liked it. I really I think I've seen it a fair few times because I always go back and skip the shitty episodes, and I always watch this episode.
I almost would have liked Linnea to have been there for a day or two before she double crossed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, to learn a bit more.
I wouldn't have minded them like camping out the night before in the bush and just having some general chit chat.
Yeah, waiting for
Yeah.
on the planet, waiting for SG such and such to show up at the scheduled time because they had to gate to the planet.
That's right.
To wait for the other SG team who were coming for a scheduled survey or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. SG3.
Spend some time there waiting for that team.
Or imagine even carrying over instead of like a day or two, like you said. What if she was to carry over into the next episode? And you the fact that they got her a room, and you start to think, oh, she's going to be like the new Teal'c. She's this alien.
See you, Teal'c.
No, not the new Teal'c.
See you too. We've got this old lady now.
Another Teal'c, but she's an alien that can help them in ways that they haven't been able to get help before.
Do you have a staff?
And they keep
staph infection.
keep sort of catching up with her. Every 5 minutes, you see her working on a computer or something. Come the end of the episode, old mate shows up through the Stargate, and granted, if you were to remember him from the previous episode, go, oh, it's that guy. Okay, cool. What are you doing here? She's the Destroyer of Worlds, and you realise, shit.
Yeah.
And especially for viewers back in the day, she's been there a week. She's been working on computers
she
for
been
days.
doing?
What has she been doing? And then she leaves.
She got her check over. They put her into her coveralls. They sat her down at the computer. She only would have been there for an hour or two.
Oh, at best, yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
it's like, well, to her, that's enough time to get all the information she needs to portray these people and move on. And it's like, I would have loved to have seen her spend some more time there. But I was just going through my notes just on Rhys's thing about anyone who's gotten away, the one that we've forgotten about, and it's a bit of a theme here, Hathor.
She's
So
good,
it's
though.
another female villain
Yeah.
who got away at the end.
Yeah.
Oh,
What-
Schiff. the
Lives to
bloody
fight
Shifty.
another day.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking, what I would have liked to have seen is if old mate didn't run in and go, oh, that's the Destroyer of Worlds, just to confirm that she is a bad guy. I would have
Yeah,
liked
for
to.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have liked it.
Maybe Taldor were the people. We ended up going back and talking with Taldor, and they were the ones that were like, "Oh, this other prisoner's
Or she
escaped,"
just
or-
left.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. If she if there's no explanation, but she just left and just leave it at that.
That would have been a much better reveal
I would-
instead of us
yeah.
already knowing before we opened the blast doors.
And I think, and that would have got rid of them then trusting, this guy that's just run in and...
Yeah, you mightn't have cared that much.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you don't establish her as actually being a horrible person, would you... It kind of would be an ambiguous ending, though, wouldn't it?
Well, it's obviously... The ending as it is now leaves it open for more storyline in the future. Yeah. So I think...
And she is someone who's double-crossed us.
Yeah.
And,
So I think that question mark... And obviously you're going to have, the self-destruct still goes off and then she just exits without an explanation. I think that's going to leave a bigger question mark at the end than it does now. And it's going to be more interesting when she comes back into it rather than just, we know her, she's the evil guy, now they've just got to stop her.
I think if the blind guy, when he got healed, had a more horrific reaction to seeing her than what he kind of gave, you're like, what the is he doing?
Would we have criticised that? Like, had the blind guy not called her the destroyer and given us that little bit of doubt, aside from that, Linnea was completely reasonable to us at all. So would the unexplained setting the self-destruct and her disappearing, if that had happened, would we be sitting here criticising it for being unmotivated?
I think it would show more the conniving nature of her and how she got to the opportunity to put this disease in all these people. I think that would just solidify her character as a like.
If they had done a few more Easter eggs along the road, and then just that.
Yeah, so that when you watch it back...
Would you still have wanted that scene of her taking out the nurse and doing all those other bits and pieces on the way through?
No, just the reveal of the blast doors.
See, I reckon I'd shit all over that episode saying it's her... We didn't get to see the motivations of Linnea at all.
Yeah, but
as to why she double crossed
why
us
do
at the
you
end.
still don't?
You don't. It's just the
motivation.
backstory of...
Well, it just confirms that she is evil because she got the information she wanted from us.
Yeah, but that's what we're saying. We didn't want the confirmation. We wanted it to be confirmed in a future episode, whereas like to keep us guessing a lot more. I think that would have been better written.
I think that'd be fun if it was a two-parter. We don't hear from Linnea.
I guess it would have sucked too if she had gone through and the blind guy was like, "Oh yeah, she's the destroyer of worlds." I thought you guys knew.
Aren't you blind?
And then there's like a full circle sort of thing with him, stick him for holding onto that secret, stick him in front of the vortex.
Oh, jeez.
Idiot.
Thanks for telling us.
Yeah. Teal'c's like, I told you I was going to lose my patience with you.
But I guess, I'd rather SG-1 out and her killing randoms. I don't know them.
Yeah.
I have got no emotional connection whatsoever.
All right, that's episode 25 of Get Into Geek. Prisoners, Season 2, Episode 3. We will be back next Sunday. Hashtag Stargate Sundays to talk Episode 4 of the season. The Gamekeeper. This is a big one here. We got written by Jonathan Glasner and Brad Wright, directed by Martin Wood. So the three big names of Stargate SG-1 are in this. So it should be big. I'm going to look towards you, Rhys. So,
if anyone knows big, it's Rhys.
So, join us, Stargate
Just
next
ask
week.
Lincoln.
Check out. Yeah, join us next Sunday. You've got a week to watch The Gamekeeper. If you are joining us for the first time, go back and check out all of our podcasts. They're on our SoundCloud and iTunes podcast channels. You can check us out on the socials, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, simply at Get Into Gate. Myself, Mitch_Lewis, Twitter and Instagram. Maddie, where can we find you?
At HighPitchMaddie on Instagram.
Brendan, sir.
At the Brendan Gibson.
And Rhys.
At the Flying Gibson.
Good stuff, boys. That is Prisoners. Next week, The Gamekeeper for more Stargate Sundays with Get Into Gate.
GetIntoGeek.com.
Tell the door.
Tell the door.
Tell the door.